Hello and welcome, Hot by Happy Hour. You're here with the Matty Daddy and the man, the myth, the legend, Sammy. Gee, how are you doing, Sammy?
I'm all
What do
right,
you?
Matty. I'm all right. Loving life. How are you, my
Hell
friend?
yeah! Not just loving life, you're dominating life, as you would say. What are we drinking on tonight? What you got for me?
I got some Glenmorangie 18. Just finished off the last glass in that bottle. It's my favorite Scotch. Can't go wrong with it. It's money. Glenmorangie 18. It's not too expensive, so if you're looking for a good Scotch, go hit that up. It's good stuff.
Ooh, like it, Sammy.
How
Well,
about you,
I'm
Matty?
going with. You know what I'm going with. I got a couple 16s. I'm ready to party, because this is the happy hour. Today, guys, we're hitting rivalries, knockouts, and of course, some hot buys. Fantasy football, sexy flexies. That's right. Guys, maybe you should be looking out for before the party gets started. But before we get started, Sammy, what'd you do this weekend? What was popping? Tell me about it.
It was a pretty quiet weekend. Not a whole lot going on. Yeah, that weekend after Thanksgiving, as a lot of you guys know, I like to lay low and not really go anywhere, do anything. So just continued that through the weekend. Uh, Checked out some sports on TV. NFL games on Sunday, college on Saturday. Saturday night, got to watch the Tyson fight against Roy Jones. Entertaining. Um, you know, Worth the $50. It's debatable, but hey, it was still entertainment. It was still watching Iron Mike get back in the ring. Not to mention the fight just beforehand, the co-main event with Jake Paul and Nate Robinson, where Jake
Oh,
Paul it basically dribbled his face across the mat like he was the basketball player. Man, it was crazy.
flattened. He was out. Out and
Done,
about.
done for, bro. Done for.
Oh. And then we got, Roy and Tyson, two of the old school legends, as we call it. But yeah, that's what the show's about today, rivalries. Let's go ahead and get it started. Let's talk first off, let's talk knockouts. We just had this big fight, Tyson Jones. Tell us a little bit about some knockouts that, maybe these people should check out, or just fond ones from, your memory. What do we got for me, Sammy?
All right, so the first one that always sticks in my mind. It's not from a boxing match, but it's UFC actually. It's from about 2009, and it was Gabriel Gonzaga knocking out Mirko Krokop. And if you're not a UFC fan or don't follow it, Krokop was this legend at the time. He'd fought in Pride over in Japan. He was this big name, great striker, and he was known for this right high kick, and he would just knock fools out with a kick to the head with his right foot. I mean, it was insane. Gabriel Gonzaga, conversely, Brazilian guy, he was known as a grappler with a lot of jiu-jitsu in his background. And out of nowhere, about halfway through the fight, Gonzaga actually throws the right high kick that Krokop used to knock people out with and just drops him. And when I say drop him, his leg buckles underneath him. I thought he tore his ACL because of the way he went down. I actually heard that knockout described by a police detective, former police detective on a podcast, that the way he was knocked out is similar to what they see when somebody like a fugitive or somebody they're trying to apprehend, runs into a wall or runs into a tree because they're looking over their shoulder. It was the same type of thing, that same blunt force trauma, and dude's legs just went jello. Go back, see if you can find it on YouTube. Gabriel
Oh,
Gonzaga, knockout of Mirko Krokop. It is disgusting.
yeah. So we're talking Tyson here. What do you got about Tyson? This guy's 50-6, 44 knockouts. Feed me some Tyson. Iron Mike, I told Connor with the list, but I'll knock your baby, eat your kids, whatever. Tell me about Tyson, baby.
Oh, was it? I don't know. Was that a British accent or was that Tyson? I don't quite know what that was.
Oh, Mike Tyson.
we we can keep it moving though. So you can pick any number of Mike Tyson fights to go back and look at and just marvel at dude's power, his speed, everything. There was one that has always stuck in my mind, and it was back from '85. It was a Michael Johnson fight. I think it was like Tyson's eighth fight. Probably not a very well recognized fight. Probably not a lot of people can recall it right off the top of their head. But the reason I like it is it's vintage Tyson. 39-second knockout.
God.
Obviously in the first round. I mean, it's ridiculous. And he backs him into the corner right away with this nasty 4-punch combo, and he drops him with a body shot. Finishes with a body shot and drops him. Guy gets right back up. I think he took the 8 count, but he gets right back up. And Tyson, he stalks in with the shoulders raised, that hunch style, and
Yeah.
he ducks the shoulder, and he just comes right over the top, and he hits dude flush in the face hard enough to knock his front tooth out,
Oh.
and just drops him right there in the middle of the ring. It is absolutely brutal. Yeah, and you think professional fighters, that straight right hand should never ever get through like that, and to come through with such force, with those gloves on, with a mouthpiece, to knock out dude's front tooth is just incredible. Like I said, it's vintage Tyson. If you want to go see him when he was just knocking fools out in the first round, that's the fight that just typifies everything that you could expect from Mike. And
Mike.
I got a couple other shout outs for Mike. There's a Marvis Frazier one. Joe Frazier's son, he absolutely just destroys him. It's pretty brutal. And in the Michael Spinks fight, I actually had that recorded. We got that we got that pay-per-view. I think I was 9 at the time. I think it was 89. We got that pay-per-view when I was a kid, and we recorded on VHS. And me and my brother would watch all 93 seconds or whatever it was, probably once a month, just to be like, oh, that is crazy.
Dude, those are the days, the VHSs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, not only these knockouts, man, with him, but you had he almost bit Vander Holyfield's ear, or he bit it off.
He did bite it off.
What a monster. Bit his ear off. And then, of course, him and Buster Douglas, man. Who can forget that? Was that in Japan? Where was it? I don't even remember. Yeah.
It was Japan.
Could you imagine how many people lost money on that one? Or how many people won money on that one?
I would have guessed not a lot won money, because everybody thought that he was just going to crush Buster Douglas. I remember. So you got to think, I was a kid at the time, right? I think that was 91, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. So I was probably 10, 11, 12 years old, somewhere in that time frame. So I don't know anything other than just the big name. So the only person I knew in boxing was Tyson. And I remember when he got knocked out, it happened some crazy time because it happened in Japan. And we were talking about it during the day. Like, oh, Tyson lost. And nobody would believe it. It was pre-internet. Everybody was like, no way. There's no way Tyson lost. No way Tyson lost. Us kids, we thought dude would be undefeated until he was 100 years old.
Crazy. Couple guys I was thinking about. How about George Foreman, man? 68-5, 68 knockouts. Dude's last fight was at 45. Could you imagine? Such a fucking beast.
Oh, it's crazy, man. And as he got older, I'm sure a lot of people have seen his fight against Ali. Movies have been made about it, documentaries, etc. Yeah. But if you watch him back then, yeah, he was a power puncher, but he was much more of a boxer. As he got into his 40s, late 30s and 40s, dude would just plod around the ring and just throw haymakers. It was almost like Butterbean out there before Butterbean was a guy.
Dude, just crazy. To me, the craziest part is the George Foreman grill, man. George Foreman grill, man. Just one of those things, like, I'm a big wrestling fan, of course. So you had the George Foreman grill that was originally given to Hulk Hogan, and he turned it down for like the pasta maker or something. That could be the Hulk. Think how much money George Foreman just made off that fucking grill.
Oh, it's crazy. They said he makes more off that, or has made more off that grill than his entire boxing career.
Oh, for sure.
Hey, the other thing about George, and somebody's going to have to fact check me on this, and I'm sure somebody out there will. But I'm pretty sure dude's got like 2,000 kids, and every one of them is named George, if I'm not mistaken. I think he named everybody in his family George.
Sammy, how many kids you got named Samuel?
Well, I got a boy and a girl, and both of them are named Samuel, so 2.
Fuck yeah. Moving on. Before we move on, he knocked out Joe Frazier twice, and he's a knockout artist.
Mm-hmm.
So that just tells you George Foreman is nasty. This is an old school one when I was doing the researches, when you were sending me the video of the Latino guy having a seizure in the ring.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Oh my God. But one more I want to bring up as far as boxing goes. Rocky Marciano, 1950s boxer, 49-0, 43 knockouts. This guy was under 200 pounds, 5'10". But what a bad man. But here's the trivia of the night. Did you know the U.S. Army checked the force of one of his punches, and it was equal to that of an armor-piercing bullet?
Is that real?
It's real. If you read it, it's real.
Found it on the internet. Gotta be fact, bro. Gotta be fact.
It was the 1950s. We'll go with it.
If true, that's insane to think about.
Yeah. Just some little guy just kicking everybody's ass. You got any more boxers or any other kind of fighters, UFC, anything like that?
Yeah, so you kind of alluded to one fight, and I got to give a shout out before I even go with this to my boys AJ and good old Rick Sauce, because they pointed me in the direction of this fight when I asked, hey guys, give me an off the beaten path knockout that we can discuss, and both of them chimed in with this one. So it's Nonito Donaire against Fernando Montiel, and it's for the bantamweight title in 2011. Obscure fight, but again, it's a title fight, and the knockout is just absolutely ridiculous. Donaire smokes dude, absolutely crushes him with a right hand and drops him.
He's shaking. He's hurt so bad.
And when he hits the ground, the dude's legs start shaking. So, I don't know if he was doing like the Booker T spin a Rooney or what while he was down there, but it was absolutely absurd to see. It actually reminded me of one of those football hits. Like I'm sure everybody remembers Anquan Bolden back in the day. Kurt Warner throws him a pass when they're both playing for the Cardinals, and Bolden catches it right about the goal line and just gets absolutely smoked. And he goes down and his hands are shaking. That knockout where you can't control your extremities. It was like that, but with the legs. It was absolutely a brutal, brutal knockout. But the second thing I have with that fight is not only did dude get dropped, his limbs are uncontrollable. The ref let him keep going. The ref got him back up.
Yeah, he got back up and got his ass knocked back down. That was
it was insane. My question is, why the hell is that ref still a ref at this point? Let's get him the hell out of there. The boxer, hey, maybe we can get some weaker opposition here, and you're not going to get knocked out like that. But the ref, come on, bro, you're supposed to be there for safety, and I would say that was not safety there.
Terrible. What about any UFC fighters? I got a couple on my mind. How about you? Anybody? You a UFC guy? What's your stance on that? Did you at least used to watch it?
Oh no, I watch UFC pretty religiously. Used to be a huge Ultimate Fighter guy. I'm glad it's coming back now. Pretty much watch every pay-per-view. If I'm gonna pick, and you're putting me on the spot, but if I'm going off the top of my head, just an absurd knockout, it's got to be Jorge Masvidal against Ben Askren from I think it was earlier this year, maybe late last year, where a lot of bad blood between the two. There's a lot of chirping. Ben Askren's new into the UFC. I think he was undefeated in the promotion that he was in before, which was actually a good promotion. I think it was MMA 1, if I'm not mistaken. Good promotion. He comes over, and Jorge Masvidal comes out of the corner like a rocket and throws a flying knee. And he said he's on tape. They saw that Ben Askren, when approached quickly, would bend at the waist to take people down because he was a wrestler by nature, so he would default to that.
Oh, ran right into it.
And Masvidal knew it was going to happen, and he threw that flying knee as Askren went to bend over for the takedown, and just ate it. Dude, I think it was 6, maybe 8 seconds into the fight. Absolutely crazy. That was where the I don't know if you heard the BMF title that they started in UFC that Masvidal now holds. It's the baddest mother effer on the planet title, and that was where that originated. Was that fight, and they decided, all right, we'll put Masvidal against Nate Diaz, and make it an actual unofficial title now moving forward.
Dude, my UFC experience, I used to be all about it all day, every day. And it all started with obviously the Silvas and guys like that and Gracie, but fucking Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz back in the day. And what about the Iceman, Chuck Liddell, just throwing the freaking Superman punches?
If I had to guess that you were a fan of any UFC fighter in history, Chuck Liddell would be number one on
Hell
that list.
yeah. Why not,
Chuck,
baby?
Chuck was a bad man, dude, until his brain got rattled. Then he couldn't take a
I
punch
mean,
anymore, unfortunately.
look at Couture. Look what he looks like. He's in a vegetative state. Like, shout out to Randy Couture.
That's
But
just because he's old. That's just because he's old, bro.
cauliflower ears. Everybody's in a vegetative. Shout out to all us old timers. But yeah, Liddell, 2 years straight, just knocking mother truckers out. That's
For
one
sure.
of them. This just shows this weight class. You had Anderson Silva doing the same thing. Of course, Shogun Rua, and then also here's the one that I want to bring up: Wanderlei Silva. Dude wouldn't even use his hands as much as his feet and his knees, and he would just stomp on you. He would kick you in the face. Like,
hold on. Before you go on, let me correct you on something. He's Brazilian, so it's Vanderlei.
Well, to me, it's the axe murderer. If that's your nickname,
we'll go with that.
I ain't messing with you ever.
Bro, he looks like an axe murderer too.
Dude, exactly. It's a horror movie with him. But, dude, he kicked the shit out of Rampage Jackson, Jardine, just some of these guys. Shogun Rua, he was kind of, when I was kind of falling out, but I know he knocked out my boy Liddell. Like you said, that was probably towards the vegetative state, dementia, all that good stuff.
Hey, so before you go on, so we talked a little bit about some UFC fighters that I actually met. So I got to give a quick Nate Diaz story. So me and my wife go to Vegas during UFC 100. Buddy's actually getting married. Wasn't planning to go for UFC 100, but by coincidence, it worked out. So they're doing this UFC fan expo. And we're walking around. My wife's favorite fighter to this day is Nate Diaz. She just loves how much he talks shit.
He's got a brother, right?
Yep, Nick Diaz. So she loves her. She loves her some Nate Diaz. So we're walking around this fan expo thing, and there's stuff for sale. You know, fighters coming here and there. Not a lot of big names. And then all of a sudden, Diaz walks by. My wife goes, "Oh my God, that's Nate Diaz!" And I'm like, "Yeah. You want a picture?" She goes, "Of course I do." So he's shopping. He's actually looking at t-shirts and stuff. So I walk over and I'm like, "Hey Nate, you know, sorry to bother you. And if you know anything about Nate Diaz, dude, he just doesn't take shit.
I'm your older brother. It's Sammy Diaz.
He's an a-hole, man." And I said, "Hey Nate, sorry to bother you, but you mind if I take a picture?" And he looks at me almost like I'm gonna punch you in the face. Can't you see I'm busy? And then I finish with my wife. And dude immediately starts smiling. He's like, "Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll take a picture with your wife. That's cool." He brought my wife in so tight, hand right there, damn near on the ass.
He was stealing her from you.
He was all over it. My wife's just cheesing. I'm like, "I've never seen you happier in a picture in your life. What the hell?"
Oh, man. And you made her day because you invited her into the picture. So
I didn't get
full circle.
Bro, I wasn't even there. It was just her and Nate.
Oh, man. Yeah, knockouts. Let's talk about Nate Robinson. Can't get his hands up. He got flattened like a pancake, man. What the heck? Poor guy. I hear Mayweather on Twitter or Instagram, whatever it is, social media, going out saying, "Man, my apologies for Nate. Don't give him crap NBA, all this stuff." I give him balls for trying to box. You know what I mean? But still, golly, that's got to hurt.
Well, and he goes in before the fight and he says he's doing it for his family. He's doing it for his friends. He's doing it for all the NBA players out there. And if that's what you're doing for all those people backing you up is to basically get your head caved in, bro, we need to go back.
YouTube sensation.
We need to go back and reevaluate life at that point, my friend.
All right, real quick, I got one knockout story. Gonna talk a little college. So it's finals week. I'm not really caring about the finals, obviously, for my 5 years of college and no degree. But wasn't Van Wilder, but I was definitely chilling. Finals week, my buddy, we played football. We're all sitting around outside the dorms, concrete. My buddy DeWitt's, boxing everybody. And I'm like, yo, my buddy Dylan can kick your ass. I'm hyping him up. I'm telling him, he's going to knock you out, dude.
You're Don King.
I'm Don King. This guy's sleeping in bed. It's like 2 a.m. I've already been drinking, smoking. So I come wake this kid up out of a sleep. I'm like, dude, you got to box. You got to box out front. Like, you're going to kick this guy's ass. Dylan gets up out of bed, gets knocked out, hits the concrete, unconscious. We spend finals night in the ER because I was Don King in it when I should have had my ass in bed studying for finals.
And then that 5 years would be worth it, and you'd have a degree at this point.
Boom. Full circle. But you know what? Instead, hot by happy hour. I'm here with you guys, hitting it hard and hitting it fast. Knockouts. Oh. But let's move on, baby.
All right, my man.
Talk knockouts. Everybody's waiting for that fantasy football. We're going to keep them waiting just a little longer. Let's talk rivalries, man. Rivalries in sports. I've got a lot of them. You could talk Brady, Manning. You could talk Bird, Magic. Tell me the first one that pops up to you. What is the rivalry?
The very first one at the tip of my tongue has to be the Iron Bowl. It's got to be Bama-Auburn, man. That rivalry is just absurd. And it hasn't always been the most competitive. If you look at it, Bama's got the lead overall in the series by, I think, 10 games. Again, you can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure from looking at it that it was 10 games. And, it's just the incredible amount of dislike for those two teams. And if you look at it recently, when Auburn wins, which isn't all the time, but when Auburn wins, they win in the most ridiculous way possible. You look back at that 2010 season when they had Cam Newton, Auburn had Cam Newton. They come back from 24-0 down to win that game and go to the national championship. They were number 2. Bama was number 7. Just crazy. And then you go a couple years later, 3 years later, and the kick 6 in 2013. Bama wins. They're basically going to the BCS national championship game. They're playing against my Knowles. And I got a good buddy who's a Bama fan who I used to work with up here in PA. He went to Bama. He's from Bama. He was just absolutely distraught. It was actually pretty funny. I texted him after the pick 6, and I said, "You all right?" And dude's usually, especially during a Bama game, he's quick to respond because, of course, he's watching it. He's got a phone close by. Nothing. 30 minutes go by, and all I get is a "not really" text. That was it. He told me later he was at his in-laws' house because it was Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh.
And his in-laws were actually afraid to go and talk to him because he was ranting and raving about it. His son, who I think he was 14, so his son was about 7 or 8 at the time. His son was bawling on the floor at his in-laws' house.
Come on.
They just live and die with not just Bama football, but that game in particular. And then to take it a step further, Harvey Updike. I was actually listening to the Paul Feinbaum show. If you're not familiar with Harvey Updike,
shout out to Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah, Paul Feinbaum runs a Southern radio show, mostly about the SEC. And Harvey and he takes ridiculous, crazy ass callers all the time. And Harvey Updike calls in, and he says something about those trees are gonna die. And Paul's like, "What trees? What are you talking about?"
Terrible.
And Harvey Updike had gone out and he had poured some type of herbicide on the damn Tumors Corners trees on the Auburn campus where they roll after every big win. They throw toilet paper on these trees and, just have a big party. It's where everybody kind of congregates, tradition at Auburn. And he killed the damn trees just out of spite. It was absurd. I remember listening to that Feinbaum show thinking, this cannot be real. There's no way this is real. And then come to find out it actually was. And to add another layer of ridiculousness to the entire thing, Harvey Updike was a cop.
Oh,
he was a cop.
That's a Lifetime movie right there.
He was a Texas State
Oh,
trooper, and I don't know if he was retired, if he had quit, if he had been fired. I don't know the backstory there. But at one point, the dude was a cop.
he was
So,
a crooked cop.
oh my God, he's poisoning trees. I mean, come on, no rivalry gets any more ridiculous than that.
So I went to one Auburn, Alabama game with some buddies. Things I remember from other than drinking a lot, of course, was when the Alabama bus showed up, everybody started throwing eggs at the bus. So obviously they weren't having any of it. But yeah, it's rowdy, man. All those college towns. Now everybody can see that FSU logo on the hoodie right there.
Yes,
What
sir.
about what about Florida? We got Florida State, University of Florida, but we got the Miami. Wasn't that the one with the wide lefts, the wide rights by Florida State?
Why?
Oh, but I knew you didn't bring
Why?
it up. But
Why? Why are you doing this to me, bro? Yeah, the wide
what
rights, man.
the?
The wide rights were killer, man. Like I said, I referenced earlier when I was a young kid when Tyson was was
Yeah,
dominating. It's about that same time frame when all those wide rights happened, and I was a Florida State fan. Really, I became a Florida State fan because my family was not originally from Florida. I moved there when I was 2, so I had no dog in the fight. But I lived in Tampa, which is really Florida Gator territory, and they are just so obnoxious. Those fans are so obnoxious, and that's what made me become a Florida State fan. And now at this point, a grad from Florida State
give
was
us a
just,
Florida State chant. I'm
oh,
testing you. I want to make sure you're legit.
you want me to sing the fight song?
No, you
No, we
just
don't.
give me the main part. You know what I want? I want the woo.
What the FLORIDASTATE, Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. Woo!
Woo!
Is that what we're looking for?
That's what we're looking for, and we got it.
All right,
All
yeah.
right, let's move on from college ball. I'm going to hit you with. I should have football in here. I have a little basketball, but I'm going to go with two. Of course, I'm the wrestling fan. I'm wearing knee pads as we speak. I got my wrist tape. I'm ready to grapple, but Stone Cold The Rock. I'm talking hell raising. We got the beers. You know what? Stone Cold pouring beer out on everybody. The Rock with the eyebrow. Hollywood. He's got it. Dude, Rock's couldn't be president before we know it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Tell me, did you watch wrestling growing up? You
So I
had a little
watched.
bit of, yeah.
Yeah, so I watched it in late '80s, early '90s. Stopped for a little while,
Yeah,
and then
everybody does.
picked it back up in the late '90s, right about the Rock and Stone Cold rivalry when it was really starting to get going. When I started watching it again, right after Rock turned face after he'd been a heel.
Oh,
So I got to see the good parts of the Rock, where he was just energizing every arena he was at.
dude. Such a
He
shit talker. So good.
he's so funny. Yeah, that guy is awesome. I could listen to the Rock talk all day. I could listen to him read the telephone book.
The best was he had know your role and shut your mouth.
Yep.
Lay the smack down on your candy ass. And then Stone Cold's was what? Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass and he beer it and
You should have Stone Colded that, buddy. You should have done it.
This is my kids' room. They're asleep. If I do all that, I'm gonna have to bring out the Swiffer wet jet. I'm gonna get a little crazy. But yeah, Rock, Stone Cold, they wrestled at 3 WrestleManias. I think they're the only 2 guys to do that. But nothing got me more fucking excited was the glass breaking with the Stone Cold and then the Rock on promos. I could go on and on. Couple other ones we want to touch base real quick. Jordan versus the Bad Boy Pistons, man. You had
Dude,
the Jordan rule, man.
So if you haven't seen the documentary that came out over the summer,
Go watch
that. Watch that. God, the name of it is escaping me, but everybody knows it as a Jordan documentary.
Last Dance, is that it?
Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, Last Dance. Go back and watch that, and basically that's what committed him to get into the weight room. If anybody remembers back in the '90s, Jordan was thick. Jordan was thicker through the early '90s and the rest of his playing career with the Bulls. He was thicker than most other basketball players. And he talks about it in there. He said he committed to the weight room just because of the Jordan rules. He said, if these guys are going to try to bust me up as I go to the lane, I'm just going to have to be stronger, more physical than them. And he ended up becoming a hoss, man. That guy was huge, 6'6", damn near no body fat. And I think he weighed like, 210. That's a big dude when you're talking about having no body fat. And he was a strong guy, and it worked out for him.
So good. And things that, stick out to me is that fierce rival. Obviously, later on down the road, Rodman ends up going there. He's the rebound king. He's their tenacity of the late 90s. But Isaiah Thomas and that bad blood. You get Daly's the Olympic team coach. Jordan's on there. He pretty much cock blocks Isaiah Thomas from making the team. Like, that's when you know shit's gone down. It's a rivalry for sure.
Good, because Isaiah Thomas seems like an asshole.
I mean, you see, I'm a Knicks fan, man, and you saw what he did to us.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stories about him doing some shady shit. Like, the CBA, the Continental Basketball Association. I think he was the president of it. He bankrupted them and then just rolled out of town real quick, kind of like Pete Carroll did with USC.
And he just keeps getting chances because he's Isaiah Thomas.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I don't get
it. We could talk Celtics, Lakers. We could talk Brady, Manning. I know we don't really need to go into detail on that one. Just two all-time GOATs. And just Brady and them were so damn dominant. But the one I want to check out, this is the one that I've been waiting to talk about. The Red Sox and the Yankees, man. The curse of the Bambino. You got Babe Ruth on the Red Sox. They're winning championships in the early 1900s. This guy pitches. He leads in home runs. This is Babe freaking Ruth. And you let him go. You let him go. And then you don't win a championship till 2004. You're almost in there like every single year. But you go a drought. How many years was that? Like crazy amount? That's like 86 years.
We'll go with that. Sounds good to me.
Dude. But yeah. And then something switches. I think it was 04. They come back 03 in the American League Championship. Go on to sweep the Cardinals. Bada bing, bada boom. Red Sox are back in town. But yeah, I'm not a baseball one, but you don't let Babe Ruth go, especially when he's the best player in the league.
Well. Speaking of that rivalry, though, one thing you got to mention with that 04 team is the way the Red Sox won it. They did a backdoor sweep on the Yankees. The Yankees were up 3-0 in the ALCS, and they won 4 straight to win that series. That's insane, man. Absolutely insane.
Just nuts. Before we move on to those sexy flexies for the playoff and fantasy football, what everybody's really here for, you got any more rivalries you want to touch on, man?
Yeah, I got 2 I want to talk about. So, we talk quite a bit fantasy football about NFL, and I think we got to talk about the most historic rivalry in the NFL first of all. So Packers,
Cowboys,
Bears.
Redskins?
No. Well, I don't even know who the Redskins are. I'm not familiar with that team.
Typo. Can you edit that out?
Yeah, please. Yeah, so I want to focus on Packers Bears. 201 all-time meetings. I mean, think about that. Damn. Their first meeting was in November of 1921. I mean, if I'm doing the math, kind of like you just did with the Red Sox, that's a shitload. That's a shitload of time. So they've been playing for quite a while. And if you think about some of the historic players that have come through there, you got like Don Hudson for the Packers, played in the 30s and into the 40s, 8-time All-Pro in 11 seasons, led the league in touchdown catches 9 times. One of those years that he led the league in touchdown catches, he also led it in interceptions. So he was pulling double duty. He was playing wideout on one side, playing safety on the other. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
What a bad man.
You look more recent times, somebody like a Brett Favre, retired as the all-time leading passer in NFL history. Probably got the most famous toe in sports history based on his pick. I think we all know what pick I'm talking about. So, you've got some history there with the Packers. And then when you talk about the Bears, you got Gale Sayers, who, if anybody goes back, and if you haven't seen him play or you didn't watch him back in the 2000s, Reggie Bush at USC was the same type of player and doing the same types of things as Gale Sayers. And I think we can all appreciate how good Reggie Bush was in college. I mean, for my money, he was the best college player I ever saw. He was incredible with the ball in his hands. Gale Sayers was doing that type of stuff in the NFL. It was in the 60s. So if you're going to go back and watch highlights, they're kind of tough. It's grainy. It's sometimes black and white. I think he had a 6-touchdown game. I know he had a 6-touchdown game. I think it was against the Niners. Had a punt return or two. Guy was just incredible. Cut on a dime, never lose a step. When he would cut, he just fast as hell. Tore up his knee, and I think he only played 8 years. But Gale Sayers was incredible. He's also part of the second most emotional sports movie of all time, Brian song. Not sure if you've ever seen it.
Brian Piccolo, yeah.
Yeah. Second most, only other more emotional movie was Dodgeball. But yeah, that guy was incredible. And then Mike Singletary. Everybody, I hope who's listening to this podcast remembers Singletary from the 80s with the eyes. He was also, most importantly, dominant on Tech Mobile when we were kids. So you pick the Bears and you just select Mike Singletary and run around the field, just sack dudes or stuff them in the hole.
Your audio is a little weird, Sammy. It's like
you
turned into a robot. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me see if I can.
It's okay. I was just learning how to love.
How to pod?
You said I still don't know how to pod. I'm just playing it by ear.
Am I better now? Do I sound better now?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. So I got one more rivalry, and this is going to be outside of the box. And I would encourage anybody who's listening to this to go back and do a little history lesson. It's Scottish Premier League soccer. Celtic Rangers. It's called the Old Firm match. It's once been described to me as, and I know the history, I know it's a big rivalry, but the context that was given to me in this way just made it. What's up?
Your volume. What did you do differently? Did you you been eating the microphone?
I did nothing different. I leaned forward a little bit. Maybe I'll lean back. How's that?
A little bit more farther back.
How's that?
We'll work with it.
All right. So, Old Firm match, Rangers Celtic. It's like I said, it was described to me as being the Iron Bowl with 400 years of history. So, this is rooted in political, social, all kinds of different issues stemming from just Scotland and Northern Ireland. There is so much undercurrent. It's unbelievable. So if you think about it, right now, Celtic has won 8 straight Scottish Premier League championships because Rangers got in trouble. They got basically demoted or pushed down a couple leagues because of some infractions that they made, and Celtic just kind of had their run of the Scottish Premier League. Rangers back in the top flight, and they're actually leading the league right now by 11 points. The Celtic fans, despite having won 8 straight, think that this is some type of huge conspiracy behind it, and they actually went out when Rangers beat them in their most recent match, went to the Celtic practice field, waited for the players to leave, and threw batteries at the players as they left. That's how crazy they are. They actually also think that there is some type of Masonic conspiracy against them, where the Masons have conspired to hold Celtic down.
Oh my gosh.
It's absolutely crazy. And then, like I said, you've got the whole undercurrent with Protestant and Catholic, with Scotland independence by staying in the UK, Northern Ireland, and everything that happened over there during the 80s and 90s. I mean, there is so much political undercurrent between these two teams. They play in the same city in Scotland, so they're close proximity. Their fans are close proximity. It's insane. That right there is the biggest rivalry in all of sports. Not just because of the on-the-field stuff, but because of everything that happens off of it, how crazy some of the fans are.
Well, Sammy, as old Sean Connery would say, that's quite a rivalry, Samuel.
Hey, that's better. That's better. It sounds kind of like Mike Tyson's.
Mike Tyson is British. The Tea Party from Boston. Let go of the Bambino. I don't know what I'm doing. Next up, it's time to talk fantasy football. People stuck with us for 40 minutes. Now it's time to get them a little fantasy football. Sexy Flexies. That's right. It's time to hit it. Give you a couple guys for the playoffs that you can put in, just like Sammy's putting me in tonight. Let me play. We're going to talk Sexy Flexies. So I'm going to go first. I want to hit up my Sexy Flexi running back. Probably the number 3 running back on most people's team. David Montgomery. Lions, Texans, Vikings, and Jags. How? I want some David Montgomery, man. When Mitch Trubisky is under center, he doesn't play from shotgun. He plays under center. Montgomery balls. Get you some David Montgomery. The trade deadline's almost here, probably this week. If you can afford in redraft or dynasty, I'd go out and get him. I think he's underrated and undervalued. David Montgomery. You got an RB for me, Sammy?
Yeah, actually, I went 2 RBs and a quarterback. So first, I'll go with one of the RBs. So Myles Gaskin is who I'm going to go with.
The gas can. I got to take this helmet off.
He's a known commodity, but he's hurt right now. He's got a pretty decent run in, but if you look at the way the Dolphins are playing, I think you can get him on the cheap if he's not already available. Especially if you're in a redraft league, I'm pretty sure that you can get a Myles Gaskin. If you're looking in a dynasty league, chances are he's stashed somewhere. But my guess would be somebody has already taken another running back that is past Myles Gaskin on their depth chart, and you can probably get him for cheap. That would be my guess. I've got a couple shares of Myles Gaskin myself. I'm going to hold on to him unless I get some type of ridiculous offer, but I expect him to do good things. If you look at how he did before he got hurt, on a per-game basis in a half-point PPR league, he's RB24. That's pretty solid. I mean, that's low-end RB2 in that flex range, and especially if you're playing Dynasty, you got multiple flex positions. I think you could probably get Myles Gaskin for cheap right now, just based on him being hurt for a while, not coming back this week. He's coming back for the playoffs. His productivity up until the injury says,
balling. Yeah, he was good.
Hey, one shout out to you. I'm pretty sure my partner on this podcast cut him in the league that we're in together, and I may have picked him up. So thank you for that, Matty.
Life in the fast lane, baby. I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. Myles Gaskin, I should have kept you. I feel bad now. I'm on board with that one. Myles Gaskin, David Montgomery, hot buy. Uh-oh. Got a new stogie breaking them out. What kind of stogie you smoking tonight, Sammy?
This is a CAO America. If you're looking for a good cigar, not going to break the bank, go look for a CAO America. I smoke the torpedoes. You can get them in any size that you would need. I'm actually going to give a shout out to Best Cigar Pub, my local place. They're on the internet. They're Best Cigar Prices on the internet. Best Cigar Pub locally. Go hit them up. No free ads, but I'm giving you a free ad. You're welcome, Eric.
That's right. These do not have any THC in them, but once
they
do,
I get tested. I can't.
No THC. It's bad for you. I'm going to hit a couple receivers here. How about AB? Antonio Brown, baby. The Bucs have the easiest pass schedule coming up. They got the Vikings 30th against receivers, Falcons 31st, and the Lions 24th. To me, that's yum-yums. That's hot buy. Go get you some AB. He's a stud. He's not getting force-fed right now, but I think the time will come. He is, like I said, this is sexy flexy. So if you're in a pickle, you need a wide receiver 3 or a flex, go take a chance on AB. I mean, especially for this year, this playoff time. I could go with a lot worse players. This one, he's kind of probably on your waivers. Probably not. I'm not sold on him, but for the price, I might take a chance. Had a touchdown last week. Alan Lazard for the Packers. We've kind of waited for it all year. We've seen MVS suck ass the last couple weeks. Week 14 against Detroit. Week 16 against Tennessee. He's kind of a last-ditch effort if you need a receiver. Lazard, not a bad flex, not my favorite, but hell, if he's on waivers, hot buy. I don't have a quarterback. I do have Dalton Schultz, tight end for the Cowboys. He's been fed the last couple games. Safety blanket for Dalton, yada, yada, yada. 14 versus the Bengals. 28 versus, it looks like I said, I don't know. Anyways, Baltimore, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Philly. It's a cakewalk after you get through Baltimore. Go get you some Dalton Schultz. The name's Dalton. Roadhouse. Shout out to Roadhouse. Go ahead and give us a quarterback, Sammy.
Well, hold on. I want to comment on a couple of your picks first. So
about Roadhouse?
I could comment on Roadhouse, but I think we're focusing right now on fantasy football. So I'm going to go with that first. So I like the AB pick. The biggest reason I like the AB pick is Chris Godwin has underperformed.
You're not allowed to move because your audio is top notch right where you're at.
Fantastic.
I will come to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and knife you. So go
ahead.
All
right. So I really like the AB pick because Chris Godwin has underperformed at this point. Had injuries, I get that. But if you can slot somebody like AB in for somebody else who's injured, I think he's going to start taking away a lot of the balls that Chris Godwin sees. Scotty Miller was the number 3 there. Ranted and raved. Tom Brady ranted and raved about him in training camp, about how great he was, how quick he was out of the slot. The guy saw 1 target last week.
Where'd he go? I hadn't seen him.
So, yeah, exactly. So, Scotty Miller has already been passed on the depth chart. There's no question in anybody's mind that AB is number 3, which we all expected anyway. But with the Chris Godwin injury and the lack of production coming from Chris Godwin, you got to think that AB is going to perform. So I'm on board with that. Second one, Alan Lazard. I like that pick. Don't have anything to back it up other than listening to Aaron Rodgers talk on the Pat McAfee show. I got a shout out from Brad last week on our table of plenty for that podcast, and with Aaron Rodgers being on it. It's fantastic. It's a good listen. Go and check it out. Aaron Rodgers is on there every week with him on every Tuesday. But he unprompted commented on how much better their offense is when Alan Lazard is in there. The touchdown that Alan Lazard caught, he said he wasn't even an option in that play. He was the 4th receiver and he was running a decoy route. And Aaron couldn't get it to the first 3, and he knew that Lazard would be open. So instead of just trying to throw it out of bounds or fit it into a small window, he said, I knew he'd be there, and he turned around and he threw it to him. So
that's trust right there.
Yeah, so, you hear that from the quarterback, especially one the caliber of Aaron Rodgers. It tells you Alan Lazard is probably a good buy at this point. So I got to agree with you there.
I will say about Lazard, Iowa State Cyclones. One of somebody I kind of looked in all year, but one of my favorite college players ever went to Iowa State, and that was Seneca Wallace. I don't know if you remember. He did it.
Yeah, Seattle Seahawks. Played for the Seahawks.
Bad man. Just didn't translate.
He started a couple games for the Seahawks before Russell Wilson got there.
Yeah, he was one of those just freaks.
He was like a poor man's Russell Wilson. Same size as Russell. He didn't have that deep ball that Russell can throw. That's just unbelievable.
He wasn't ready for the NFL, I guess, but he tore it up at Iowa State.
Yeah, he would tuck it and go in a heartbeat.
Tell me a quarterback, man. I kind of drew a blank here. Who is your kind of deep, I would say, streamer style quarterback that somebody could use for the playoffs, you think?
So especially in Superflex leagues, I would say Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh.
He lost his position to Tua. Tua gets hurt. He comes back in. The most important thing is he's got something to prove, man. He puts up numbers typically. He's got something to prove now. He got benched in favor of Tua. So it wasn't like he got hurt. He wants to come out there and show what he can do. And if you read into the articles or heard him talk, he was pretty upset about losing that position. So Ryan Fitzpatrick would be a great pickup. He's got Bengals, Chiefs, Pats, and Raiders through week 16. None of those are really daunting defenses. Chiefs are pretty tough, but the other ones, Pats, Raiders, Bengals, he can put up some numbers against them. So, if you got an injury quarterback in a super flex league and you need to fill a spot, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is probably a pretty good buy at this point.
So good. I've heard some rumors. Like I said, this is how rumor and innuendo starts. But I heard Tua hasn't impressed the Miami coaching staff that much, which could be hearsay, it could be just talky. But I wouldn't be surprised if Fitzpatrick's the starter the rest of the year. I don't know. Maybe it's too early, but Devontae Parker sure looks good with freaking Fitzpatrick. That whole offense.
Yeah, buddy, I would agree with you. So and people may say, hey, this is revisionist history, but it's really not if you know me and talk to me before the draft. I've never been impressed with Tua. I'm a college football guy. That's what I watch more than the NFL. And Tua just always seemed like somebody who excelled because of the talent around him. And that doesn't work in the NFL. When's the last time we saw a game manager or somebody that needs pieces around him to succeed? Trent Dilfer back in 2000 with the Ravens. Was he the last guy that led somebody to a Super Bowl? Last one that I can think of. So, I don't expect a whole lot from Tua moving forward. If he's not performing in practice, would not shock me whatsoever.
As the great Shania Twain would say, that don't impress me much. Sammy, I think we've hit the hot buy happy hour. We're at 51 minutes. Let's wrap this shit up.
All right, my man.
Any closing thoughts, closing food items you want to, any kind of shout outs you want to give to any of your buddies, any foods you want people to try? This is hot buy. What's something you can recommend to somebody for this week other than what we've talked about? Just one item. It can be anything you want. It can be Glade plugins. It can be, Angel Soft toilet paper. Hit us with something.
All right. So first of all, I'll give a couple of shout outs again to AJ and good old Rick Sauce for recommending the knockout.
Rick
and
Sauce.
also to Ingram Smith with the Nolecast for talking to me about the old firm and hit me up in the old DMs to give me a little bit of background story about some of the stuff that you don't really read in articles about Celtic Rangers rivalry. He provided me some really, really good info. So probably not a lot of Noles fans on here, but if you are interested in Florida State football, the Nolecast is fantastic. But something that I'll recommend, and I was very skeptical when I first heard that my buddy was using one of these. And my wife went out and bought one without me knowing, and it's the greatest thing in the world, is an air fryer. You've never had air fried chicken wings. You are missing out, my friend. Air fried chicken wings are are definitely the best chicken wings you will ever had in your life. They are fantastic. So I would recommend going out, finding an air fryer. Doesn't even matter what kind, which one.
It's the holiday season.
Go get an
air fryer.
Yeah, all kinds of Black Friday deals, my friend.
This is the time, man. I've never used an air fryer. Not good with grease, but I would love to look into one of those. So, Sammy,
time out.
Whoa.
Let's back up a second. There is no grease. You put it in. There's no oil. There's no grease. You put it right into a basket and you put it in, and it's just air that circulates and fries it. So it's completely clean. Don't even have to worry about any grease, any cleanup like that. They're awesome.
Sammy.
What?
When you talk about that kind of stuff, I go cross-eyed. Can't do that to me, brother.
I'm sorry, buddy.
I need an air fryer. That's on the bucket list, Christmas list. Morgan Freeman, Jack Nicholson, it's on the list. It made the list. Where can people find you other than this hot buy happy hour? If they have some fantasy questions, they want to know what the cigar is that you smoke. They want to talk rivalries. Where do they find you on Twitter?
At Samuel_Gordon. I've been around on Twitter for a while, since 2009, so I got my name as my Twitter handle. back then, 11, 12 years ago.
That's Sammy G, baby. Samuel_Gordon on Twitter. Hit him up. Ask him questions. Like I said, air fryer, hot buy. Before we get out of here, real quick shout out to the Fantasy Affair podcast, the website, www.ffaffair.com, at Twitter, Fantasy Affair FF, the whole crew we got working. We got one of your rivals, Brad. He's hitting us with trades, mistress of marriage, writing player profiler articles, doing it all. Andy's editing. Johnny Slokes running that hot fire website. Brian Craighead, DFS, website Yum Yums. Berkey, King, Brian. We got so many guys. Britt,
Matty.
guy. Yeah, hey.
As much as I'd like to disparage him, Brad is actually killing it. He really is killing it. So, yep, he's one of my rivals, but hey, the guy's on point.
Dude.
Gotta appreciate what he's doing. So go check him out, please.
A little bit better than he is a league commissioner in the Bakers League. That's for sure.
No doubt.
Roasted. Boom. Yeah, and you can find me at Matty Daddy 2652. I'm trying to network, guys. Let's get people on the Hot Buy Happy Hour. I know we got CJ wants to be a guest. We're going to have to get Rick Sauce up in here. We're going to get some guys, some buddies. It's a Hot Buy Happy Hour. Thanks for joining in, guys. Till next week. Hot Buy.